your host Irfan with another episode of the SIA Business Show, and it is once again another one of those episodes where I'm going to speak to you about less technical matters and something which is maybe based on like a personal experience, something light-hearted, something casual. So for this episode I want to share something with you which I had experienced a long time ago, way back when I was living in Sweden and Denmark, and it's about how important it is to be innovative in your approach to different things. And the reason I talk to you about this is that right after I did my MBA in Sweden, I got a very low-paid job as a corporate sales executive, and I was very bad at it. Part of the reason was my complete lack of confidence, and part of the reason was the fact that I think I was not very comfortable with the very aggressive salesy approach of the company, and the fact that we had to apply fake urgency and stuff like that. So anyway, I left that job after like 6 months, and like I said, I was very bad at it. So I had like one pretty decent sale, which was like I think 34,000 euros worth of a corporate hospitality package that I sold. So anyway, the point is that right after I did that, I started looking for another job, and pretty much right away, and I was completely unsuccessful at finding another job in Sweden. I did get like a consulting project where I helped a local IT company complete a project meant for a Swedish university, one of the best universities, and I actually had the honor of studying there a bit as well. Anyway, other than that project, I was basically a complete failure at finding a job. What I was doing is that I would one thing which was quote unquote a little innovative, although I think it was not very smart to do that, was that I would find the CEO's email address of various companies whose job ads I would see, and I would apply for a job there, right? And I was, I had basically, maybe a couple of interviews that I was called for, but otherwise I had no job offers, no interest or anything. Then I moved to Denmark because, I just, it's a long story why I moved there from Sweden, but basically Sweden has a more, at least at that time, Denmark had a more welcoming policy for immigrants and for highly skilled foreign professionals and all that. So I got into Denmark before my Swedish visa expired, and when I got there, I again started to look for a job, but I was again a failure over there. I did find an odd job, but obviously the odd job was just to basically make both ends meet, and I was to be honest, I was not even able to keep that odd job for more than a couple of days, even though I had done that odd job in Sweden for a very long time. And the reason I was not able to continue it is something that maybe I will speak about in another episode. So anyway, I was sending my CVs to different companies and sending it to CEOs of the companies, and I was getting nowhere. So then what I did was that basically I thought of something different, okay? And this is where this episode gets interesting, okay? So what I did was that there is a pretty famous Yellow Pages website in Scandinavia. I believe it's in more than one Scandinavian countries. I'm sure it's there in Denmark and Sweden. It's called Iniro. So in Sweden it's Eniro.se, I believe, and for Denmark it's Eniro.dk. So anyway, I opened that directory and I looked for all the local companies which were, relevant to me in some manner. So, maybe IT companies, software companies, stuff like that. And I started calling them. Okay, so I started calling them because Eniro.dk basically had their contact details as well, right? Because I was completely broke, I had like no money. I believe I was actually that was like one of the couple of times in my life when I was under debt as well. I had borrowed some money from a friend, so I had no money, and what I did was that I purchased a Skype phone number. And when you have a Skype landline number, which costs like maybe $5 or $6 a month or something like that, the benefit of getting that landline number is that I was able to call all Danish landlines for free. Okay, so for something like $5 or $6 a month, I was able to call all Danish landline numbers for free, and that's what I was doing. I was calling all the companies using Skype, and I would let them know who I was and what my key skills were, and that I was interested in discussing if I could be a good fit for their company and all that. To be honest, I was not half as eloquent as I am right now, so probably the way I was pitching myself as a employee was pretty bad, quite bad, but I was continuing with it, and I am actually not sure how long I did it, maybe like for a week, so full day on the phone, and maybe like a week or something like that. But I got very I started to get the hang of it, and I started to get better at it, I believe. And the funny thing is that the point that I want to make is it's not just about innovation. It's not just about hey, I did this innovative thing, and you should also do something innovative, right? Innovation is good, but what I want to mention, other than the factor about innovation, is that some of my acquaintances who were seeing what I was doing, a couple of guys who were living with me in my apartment, and maybe some other people as well, they were extremely negative about my approach. So they would keep on telling me that, hey, this is not going to work. They would laugh at me and they would criticize me, and basically they did everything to discourage me. They would be like, you need someone who knows you and who can vouch for you. You need a reference. This is no way to find a job, and this you're never going to succeed and all that. And within 1 week, I got an interview call and I got a job offer very quickly. It was not a multinational company. It was nothing very huge or anything for someone, but for someone who was completely broke and who had been unemployed for months while living in a very expensive region of the world. Scandinavia is very expensive. Stockholm is very expensive. Copenhagen is very expensive. According to the various most expensive city lists, typically Stockholm and Copenhagen are right there at the top among maybe top 3 or top 5 or top 10 cities, right? Depending on, I guess, what factors they use and all that. So for someone like me to be able to get a job which was which was more close to my heart, which was closer to my heart than the previous job that I had, right? And something which paid a decent amount of money, not a lot of money, but I was able to save, and I was able to live a better life. So the thing is that despite whatever my friends said, I was able to get that job. And even when I got that job, I still wanted to be an entrepreneur, which is something that I wanted since a very long time. And I had I have had a few stints as an entrepreneur. I never was in a loss, but I never did anything substantial until then. When it within entrepreneurship, right? Until then, so. But the point is that as soon as I got that job, I moved out of the apartment that I was living in, and one of the reason was because the couple of people that I was living with were extremely negative and pessimistic in their approach, and so when I was leaving, and they asked me why you were leaving and all that, and I said I got the job. So I was so angry with them that when they asked me how much the salary was, I basically told them double the amount that I was actually getting, just to see the look on their face. I know it's not a very nice thing to do, but I was just so pissed off at them for months and months of mental torture and all the disturbances and all the rude behavior and the negative behavior that I had experienced due to them. So I just told them double the amount that I was getting just to see that look on their faces, and it was basically priceless. I just loved it, and I moved to a better place. I started to work at and I moved to a better place, and I started to work at this this new job, and thankfully I was actually also able to get a job in an American company, where I was working basically a couple of hours every month remotely. And typically I would be able to do that job with just my cell phone, right? So that was a good time. It was a very busy, very hectic time. I had basically these two jobs. I would be cooking all my own food, and I would be obviously doing my own laundry and shopping and everything, obviously. For those who are not from the East, this may come as a bit of a surprise, but here in the East, usually in most households, there are multiple family members, and there may be maybe a servant or two servants or maids and stuff. So for a lot of the middle class families, it can be a bit rare for someone to be taking care of all of these things that I just mentioned, cooking, cleaning, laundry, shopping, grocery shopping, and everything, right? So I was doing all of that, and it was a very busy time. I still remember that I would, in the 24 hours that I had every day, I was able to do something other than work and the errands, etc. I had just like 1 hour for myself, right? Just like 1 hour only. But I am very grateful that I was able to believe in myself, and despite what my roommates and apartment mates repeatedly told me, I was able to go ahead and try something different, because I was tired of sending my CV everywhere and getting no responses. And one of the reasons this works is that most of the companies, they would be getting like tons of resumes and CVs every single day. So I think when you do something out of the ordinary, when maybe you call them, or one of my friends from UK, she would actually visit the companies that she wanted to work at in person, and she would sit there, and she would basically make sure that she gets to meet the hiring manager or whoever she wanted to meet, the decision makers, and that's how she would get a job. I was not that confident at that time. I don't know if I'm now that confident or not. I'm not looking for a job, thankfully, but anyways, the point is that you want to do something something different, right? Something that makes you stand out. And I think that's what personal branding is about as well, that you want to do something which is different, but not not too different, something maybe a bit crazy or weird, but not too crazy or too weird, so that you can stand out. Again, I'm not saying you should do something like really crazy or something. You don't even have to do anything crazy, but the point is that in order to stand out from the crowd, you have to make sure that you use some kind of a smart methodology to really stand out in the crowd. And it can help you in your life with regards to finding a good job, with regards to getting good business deals. It can also get you good funding, maybe. It can get you ideal business partners, maybe even Maybe you can use it to attract top talent for your company. So yeah, that's it for today. This is a little ramble that I started while driving my car, and now I have reached where I wanted to reach, and I've stopped the car. But this is it, and let me know what you think about it. Thank you.